In this video, I'm going to share with you the 7 quests I would do if I was a beginner again, and my goal was to learn anime style art and improve in the fastest way possible. I put these quests together based on my experience as an artist that's now being able to work with various companies and also win an award in the Honkai Style Rail Creator Competition. And depending where you are in the art journey, you might have already completed some of these quests, which is fantastic. You're ahead of the curve. But if not, you can pretty much get started on them right after you finish watching this video. By the way, if you're new here, hey, I'm Ori, and on this channel I make videos that's all about exploring the best ways to level up our art and ourselves. Also, quick thanks to Hostinger for kindly sponsoring today's video. If you're interested in making your own website and creating a professional looking art portfolio for less than the price of a coffee each month, check out their discount code below. So for the first quest, we'll be starting with learning how to draw the box, because learning how to draw it well will help you draw everything else better, including characters. This is because as artists, we're also magicians in the sense that we have to play a trick on people's eyes and make them believe that the things on a 2D page are actually 3-dimensional. Perspective is one of the things that help us create this illusion of 3D, and drawing the box in particular will help you learn it. Now, like all other fundamentals, perspective goes deep, and yes, you should take the time to learn it deeply. But let's see if I can speedrun you through the basics in under 30 seconds. Start the timer. So basically there's a horizon line, which is the eye level of the viewer, where the sky meets the ground. Then there are vanishing points where lines that are parallel seem to meet each other as they go into the distance. For example, when you look down straight train tracks, the sides all seem to come together into a single point on the horizon, and that's the vanishing point. When there's only one vanishing point, like in this example, it's called 1-point perspective. And as you might have guessed, 2-point perspective has 2 vanishing points, and 3-point has 3. You'll often draw illustrations using 1 or 2-point perspective, and use 3-point perspective when you're drawing a scene that's looking up or down.
In under 30 seconds.
Your first quest is to learn how to draw and rotate a box accurately in perspective. When drawing the box, remember to start with the horizon line, which is the eye level. When it's facing the front, it uses 1-point perspective like this with 1 vanishing point. But as it turns, it shifts into 2-point perspective, with the vanishing points moving along the horizon line. And when you're drawing it from above or below, the vertical lines will also have a vanishing point and it becomes 3-point perspective like this. Essentially, you want to practice drawing boxes until you can draw them freehand from different rotations while still looking correct, and you don't need to make them super mathematically accurate and all that, but you do want to keep in mind the principles of perspective that we mentioned, as you'll be able to use them to draw other objects like the head more accurately and 3-dimensional looking in your art too. And this quest is complete when you can draw the box rotating in 5 views from straight on, a bit below, and from a bit above. For the next quest, we'll be tackling the face. The face and how you stylize it is really what defines anime style art. It's the most important part of the character, and it's something you'll draw every single time, so getting better at it will lead to the most noticeable improvements, which will help keep you motivated. Now, one mistake I made earlier on in my art journey was that I didn't think about learning how to stylize, because I thought that style was something that you're just meant to naturally come up with by yourself. But just like with everything else in art, although there are no absolute rules on how to do things, there are principles that will help us create good looking stylization. And you can definitely try and figure out all of these things for yourselves, but you'll make much faster progress if you start by learning what works from the art you like, and then experiment your own path on top of that. So here's the second quest. Part 1. Pick an artwork that you like, and for the sake of the demonstrations in this tutorial, I'll be using my own art. Then, analyze the structure of the head in the reference by breaking it down to its simple shape, and adding contour lines like this to help you understand the 3D structure better. I also recommend that you try to draw what it would look like as a box, as it'll help you figure out the perspective and 3D shape more accurately. Also note the proportion and the location of each part of the face, like the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the eyebrows. You can also use the free anatomy models over at PoseManiacs to help you understand what it would look like in real life and compare it with how the artist stylized it. Next, I want you to do a study through the copy, analyze, and fix method. We'll be using this method throughout many of the quests, as it's an efficient way of studying something complicated, so it's worth remembering. So the first step is to draw a copy of it, and then on top of that, you want to paste the original, and then analyze and compare what the differences are, and note them down. Then you want to fix it so it's as close as possible to the original. And once you've done it for the head, you can do it for the hair on top too. For part 2, you want to find photo reference with the head similar in angle to what you studied, And just like before, analyze the structure of the head in the reference by breaking it down to its proportions, simple shapes, and contour lines. And then next to it, draw the head stylized, applying what you learned from part 1. At this stage, you're just trying to observe what goes into drawing a good anime-style head and applying it to a similar situation, so don't get stressed out about trying to create some amazing piece of original artwork. This quest is complete when you've done part 1 and part 2 for a total of 10 times. Note, I recommend having all 10 of the artwork you study be from the same artist because the rules and principles used will be more consistent with each other. If you're having trouble picking just one because you're not really sure what you're into or what you like yet, that's fine, and for the first 3 to 5, you can study from different artists, but after that, you want to pick the one you feel is the closest to the direction you want to head in, and then stick with them for the remainder of the quest. So obviously, it's not enough to just draw the head, so for the next quest, we'll be tackling the whole body. Now, you can literally spend years going down the anatomy and figure drawing rabbit hole because the human body is really complex and there's so many parts to understand and level up at, like proportions, anatomy, and posing. On top of that, we see people every day, so we're very familiar with what the human body is meant to look like. And so we can kind of tell more easily when it's looking off, more so than any other object. This is why learning to draw the body well, including the head, takes a lot of time and practice, and you can kind of treat it as an ongoing mission in your art journey to continue to get better at it. For this quest, we're going to approach the body similar to what we did for the face. Part 1. For reference, find a full body artwork that you like, and if at all possible, try to have this first one be a standing pose since it will be the easiest to learn from. And as we'll be analyzing the body, artwork that shows a lot of skin will also be easier to learn from. Once you've got your reference, analyze the structure of the body by first noting the proportions in relation to the head, like how many heads tall is it in total? What are the proportions of each part? So as you can see in this example, Ira is about 5.6 heads tall, and the proportions of each part are roughly as you can see here. For the parts covered by clothes, you can get 3D reference to help you understand what the body underneath might look like. Then I want you to do a study of the whole body, including the head, using the copy, analyze, fix method, like we covered in the previous quest. And if you're up for a challenge, you can also do it for the clothes on top of the body. For part 2, get reference similar to what you studied in part 1. Ideally, we would also like to use photo reference for this, but for anything other than a standing pose, it might be really hard to find one that's similar to the thing you studied. If that's the case, I recommend taking a photo of yourself or using a 3D posing app to make your own reference. Then you also want to analyze the structure of the body and the head by breaking it down to its proportions, simple shapes, and contour lines. And next to it, draw the figure in the anime style following what you learned from part 1. And just like before, this quest is complete when you've done part 1 and part 2 for a total of 10 times. By the way, I'm currently in the middle of making a course on the fastest way to learn anime style art, and if you want to be the first to know when it's ready, you can sign up to the waiting list through the link in the description. Quest number 4 is about lighting. So light comes from a source, like the sun or a lamp, hits an object and then bounces into our eyes. That's how we can see things. And if there is no light, then we can't see anything and it's completely black. Learning how light behaves and interacts with objects in reality lets us add that into our own art and makes the things we draw look more three-dimensional and believable. Here's the basic terms you need to know. There's the highlight, the area of an object where light directly hits, making it the brightest spot. The cast shadow, the shadow an object casts on a surface as a result of it blocking the light. The core shadow, which is the darkest shadow on an object that isn't caused by a cast shadow. The midtones, which is the area between the highlights and the shadows. It's the closest to the local color of the object since it's the least affected by the lights and the shadows. Then there are the occlusion shadows, which are the really dark shadows that appears when two surfaces meet and it's really hard for light to get in there. And finally, there's the reflected light, which is the light that bounces from nearby surfaces onto the object and brightens up some of the shadow areas. With the anime style, we often think about simplifying the shadows into roughly 3 levels. The first shadow being the lightest and separates what's in light and what's in shadow. The second shadows being shadows 1 level darker than that, usually caused by cast shadows. And third shadows being the darkest level of shadows, usually caused by occlusion shadows. There's also 1.5 shadows that's in between the first and the second shadows in terms of darkness, which usually help represent core shadows. So here's your 4th quest. To save time, you're going to use the references, copies, and drawings you made from the previous quest. Okay, so part 1. Take the references you studied previously for the whole body and turn it into black and white. It's easier to study when you don't have to worry about the color. Then you want to analyze what the first, second, and third shadows are, and the 1.5 shadows too. And not everything is going to fit neatly into those categories, so it's okay to just approximate which one it's the closest to. Observe what principle is being used by the artist. So for example, how much darker is the first shadow compared to what's in light? How much darker is the second shadow compared to the first shadow? And so on. Also note down the highlights and the reflected lights. Then add those shadows you analyzed into the copy you did of the reference using the copy analyze fix method. For part 2, you want to use what you learned to add in shadows into the drawing you made for part 2 in the previous quest. Do this in black and white as well. Now, each object will have its own base color, but the purpose of this exercise is to just practice adding in the different types of shadows, so you can just leave the base color of everything as white to make it easier. And just like before, you want to start with the first shadows, second shadows, third shadows, 1.5 shadows, then the highlights and reflected lights. This quest is complete when you've done part 1 and part 2 10 times in total. Now that we've got a handle on lighting, it's time to take on color for our next quest. The main properties of color are hue, which is the actual color, like red, blue, or green. This is the circle ring on the palette you're seeing. Then there's the saturation, which is how intense or dull a color looks. And on this palette, the saturation changes as you go from left to right. Then there's the value, which is how light or dark a color is, and it's when you go up and down here. There's also the temperature, and colors are perceived as either warm, like the reds and the yellows and the oranges, or cool, which are like the blues and the purples and the greens. There are also relationships between colors. For example, the closer a color is to each other on the color wheel, the more harmonious it looks together. While the further away they are, the more they will contrast with each other. Objects also have a local color to them, which is what they look like under neutral white lighting. So here's your 5th quest. We're going to continue to use the references, copies, and drawings you made from the previous quest to save time. Part 1. Analyze the different colors used in the reference. So for all the different parts, you want to color pick and take note of the local color, which is the base color which is in light, the first shadows, the second shadows, the third shadows, the 1.5 shadows, and the highlights and any other lighting effects. Observe what principle is being used. For example, when the local color goes into shadow, what changes? Is it becoming darker, cooler, and more saturated? By how much? And why? Then add in those colors into the copy you did using the copy analyze fix method. Part 2. Use what you learned to also add in colors into the drawing you made for part 2 in the previous quest. You'll probably find that doing color studies and adding color into your drawing takes up quite some time to do, but that's absolutely normal and you'll learn a heck of a ton, so it's worth it. This quest is complete when you've done part 1 and part 2 5 times in total. Oh, and if you're enjoying the video so far, I hope you consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out when I make a new one. Now it's time to put together what you've been learning from the previous quest, with the 6th quest being to create. Part 1. Pick a character or VTuber that you're interested in drawing. Then find reference of that character, preferably full body. Next, measure the proportions of that character like you did in quest 2 and 3. This will help you draw them more accurately. Then you also want to find or make reference for the pose. And finally, draw the illustration while taking care to match the proportions of the original. Part 2. Once you've made the artwork, the next step is to get feedback on it. Feedback is important for learning because it basically gives us information and hints as to what our next step in the learning journey should be. If you're learning just by yourself, you'll mainly get feedback in one of 2 ways. 1. Reflecting on what you think you did well and what you feel you could improve on. And 2. Sharing the work online. Now, you might feel that you're not ready or good enough yet to share your art, but that's actually the reason why you need to share it, because it'll help give you that extra feedback to make you improve faster in the long run. Sharing your work is also not as scary as you think it is. Any comments you get will generally be positive, because people who don't like the art usually won't even bother to engage with it, since the opposite of love is actually not hate, but indifference. And the ones that do like it will leave a like, which is a small win for you because it's proof that your art is resonating with other people. And if you're not getting much response, well, that's fine too, because it's a sign that you just need to keep working on your skills and improving. And when you do start to see more people engaging with your work, you can treat it as one of the signs that you're making progress and heading in the right direction. It's also worth remembering that people can't support your art if they never see it. And really, you'll never know who'll be interested in the things you draw. So as artists, there's just tremendous upside to sharing our work online. Places I recommend to post anime art in particular is Twitter/X and Pixiv. Make sure to include any relevant hashtags to the character you drew to increase the likelihood people will see it. And generally, you can get more people to see your art if you draw a character that's currently popular or trending, such as from a popular game or a VTuber. Part 3. Now that you've gotten feedback, the next step is to pick one thing that you'd like to improve on, find a tutorial, book, or course to learn from, and then spend some time practicing that thing until you feel that you've leveled up at it. And this quest is complete when you've done part 1 to 3 10 times, creating a total of 10 illustrations. I highly recommend sticking with drawing the same character all 10 times, as you learn and improve faster when you're concentrating all of your effort into drawing the same subject better every single time. Now that you've made a number of artworks and shared them, the next step is to present. This is different than just sharing the work in that you're crafting how you present it and yourself. Because as artists, we know better than anyone else the power visuals can have, and how we visually present our work and ourselves also matter. In particular, you want to start putting your best art together in a portfolio of some sort. First of all, if you're a complete hobbyist, you don't need to worry about the professional aspects of it at all, but it can still be a fun personal project to put together your own home base and gallery of what you've drawn so far. This was what I did when I was drawing 4-panel manga for fun earlier in my art journey, and I set up a website where people could read the comics in a nice format and subscribe to an email list so they can get notified whenever I drew a new one. And if you're interested in possibly exploring the commercial aspects of art, like taking on clients and doing commissions, then setting up a portfolio is going to be highly beneficial for you. The quality of your art is of course the most important thing, and that's what you're going to keep improving on as you go through the art journey. But presenting yourself professionally creates a great first impression and gives potential clients a sense that they can trust you, so you'll be more likely to get the work. So where should you start? Level 1 would be to use a free platform like Pixiv, where people can see all of your art together in one place. Pixiv is actually a good place to start with because it's similar to social media in that people can also discover your work there. But it has the same problems as a lot of the other free platforms when you're trying to use it as a portfolio. For example, free platforms will usually either show ads or have a banner that says created by something.com, which can feel kind of unprofessional. But the most fatal part is that Pixiv will show the viewer other art and artists that their algorithm thinks the viewer will be interested in, because they want people to stay on their website longer so they can show more ads or sell some kind of service, because that's how they monetize as a business. But this kind of defeats the purpose of a portfolio, because it's similar to your resume as an artist, but instead of getting the client to just read yours and convince them that you're the right fit for the project, the platform is like, ooh, you should check out all these other shiny resumes too. So you may want to upgrade to level 2, where you get your own website and custom domain name. For example, I have Ori.com, and it gives a more professional look and impression than using a free platform would. It's also really easy to make one nowadays, and I can actually show you how to make a portfolio website and the pages you need because Hostinger is kindly sponsoring this video. They have 2 plans, the premium if you just want to make a website, and the business if you also want to take payments for commissions or sell merch. We're going to go to add website and select their website builder here. And let's make a starter portfolio for Ira here. As for the description, I'm an anime style artist, so I can get a new job. Create website. A few moments later. Okay, so here's what their builder came up with, and that's looking pretty interesting. I think the AI got a bit confused as to Ira's description. So we have pictures of maid instead of art, but that's okay. We're gonna customize and change it in with art, so it looks more like an art portfolio, obviously. And first of all, let's change the website color. I think Ira likes blue, since she's always wearing this blue outfit. That looks much better. And let's start by changing up this header image. Much better. And we'll change the title to just Ira Days. And let's add in some art to the portfolio. Okay, and after a bit of drag and drop customization and adding some art in and getting rid of the pages we don't need, this is what I've come up with for Ira's portfolio. So we have the homepage where there's all the beautiful art she's done for the guild. There's an about page where people can find out more about her. And also a contact page where people can reach out for commissions and projects and all that. And that's pretty much all you need for a portfolio. And that was really easy to make with their website builder. In addition, you'll also get your own custom domain name for your website. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, you can go to hostinger.com/oridays and use the coupon code ORIDAYS to get an extra 10% off. Quest 7 is complete when you set up your portfolio, whether it's level 1 or 2. As for Quest 8 and beyond, what I recommend for you to do next is either dive deeper into a topic that you feel that you need to work on more, or repeat Quest 6 and continue to learn by creating. And as long as you have the willingness to learn and the persistence to never give up, you'll get good at drawing. But you might be wondering, how can you hope to stand out when there's already so much art, artists, and even AI now out there? Is it too late? Well, it turns out that becoming a successful artist really just comes down to 3 steps that anyone can follow. And you can find out what they are in this video. This was Ori, thanks for watching all the way to the end, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!